What's up everyone, welcome back to Homebrew Subaru. Today I'm going to concentrate on working on the block and getting it prepped so that I can get the heads back onto it once they're finished. I'm going to basically start with just tearing off some of the other stuff that doesn't need to be on here. The water pump's being changed, so it needs to come off. Obviously the oil filter, but this oil pan has some rust scaling on it. It's not really bad, it doesn't leak, but because I have a good pan from one of my older engines that I actually replaced, it's going to get swapped over onto this block. The deck surfaces need to be cleaned up. I do have a new oil pressure switch to put in it, and the oil pump isn't leaking, but I'm going to take it off and reseal the gasket sealing surface and put a new crank seal in it. And then even this coolant pipe, it's just got a little bit of rust on it, so I'm going to take it off and clean it up as well. So I've got everything taken off that needs to come off, and when I was turning the engine around, I obviously didn't drain out the cup of oil that was down in the oil pan, and it came flying out here onto the floor. Now I don't know what that looks like on camera because I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, that's what happened. Next, I'm basically just going to clean up the decks of the block, where the oil pan was sitting, where the oil pump was sitting, and then try and degrease a bunch of this. I'm not going to do a heavy cleaning on the block, but I want to get off all this oil and grease just so I can see if there's any leaks going on in the future. I'm going to be leaving the oil strainer and the splash plate on. They're not too much of a concern, and it's just basically the oil pan that's got a bit of rust on it. Now obviously the pan coming out of the Forester is a lot more rusty than this one that I've had sitting around. This pan is actually off of the turbo engine that's sitting in the WRX. So I had this pan sitting and it was just way too clean to throw away. And I thought about putting it on the Forester. Glad I held on to it. And then just looking into the pan coming off the Forester, as much noise as that engine makes, there's absolutely no signs of wear or metal or anything in the bottom of this pan. Now that I have the block all cleaned up, I'm ready to start putting some parts back on, but before I do, they do need some cleaning. The oil pan's pretty filthy. These engine mounts are actually off that 2011 car that I had last year. I just ended up leaving the 2005 mounts on the block. Swiped these for the Forester because I knew the Forester mounts were just coated with oil. This water pump is actually off the Turbo and Preza engine. It was with the oil pan, but because I switched the oil pan and went to a turbo style water pump, this stuff literally only has like 10,000 kilometers on it. So this is still relatively a new water pump, and even the thermostat in it was replaced, so I'm not even going to bother changing that. I did buy a new water pump gasket to reseal it though. And I've got a new crank seal to throw in. My Ultra Gray is at the end, but I can feel it, it's all gone hard, so I'm going to have to go get a tube and clean up the oil pump and then get all this stuff going back onto the block. Well, I've got the pumps back on and all torqued up. The oil pressure switch and the oil filter. Everything's cleaned up and ready to go. And now I can just push onto the cylinder heads and start working on those. I do have a bit of time to spend on them. I am planning on splitting them and taking the cams out and removing all the valves. I'm going to lap all the valves, so that's going to be the next video. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Holy fucking shit. Oh, my life. This is my life, people.